This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and our growing list of affiliates right across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Australia, Asia, India, Africa, and Europe. If you'd like to give us a call toll-free worldwide, 1-800-610-7035. That's 1-800-610-7035. My email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, you can always chat with someone here in our studios by typing in the MSN address, xzoneradio@hotmail.com. That's that's the old one. xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. As I've been saying all today's show, the March edition of the X Chronicles has been released. It's available with our compliments by sending me an email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. And in this issue, some of the stories include: ufology desperately needs a reality check. I've seen a ghost, claims Tim Burton. Heaven's Gate, a religious group. Mysterious hole in the moon has been discovered. Let me see. We talked about the British military Ministry of Defense shredding all their UFO files. They don't believe that the UFOs are any threat to national security. Neither does the CIA. We talk about Alien Abduction Day. Let me see. And then, of course, Riel from the Raelians decided to throw in his 2 cents, and he says Ellen needs therapy, not Tiger Woods. PETA is upset because Mike Tyson is raising racing pigeons. I have no idea what that's got to do with it. And then there's several stories on the end of the world not coming in 2012. That's just some of the stories that you can read in this month's edition of the X Chronicles simply by sending us an email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com asking us for the link to our newspaper, which is available on Scribd. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is a good friend of the X-Zone. I've had the pleasure of talking to this lady many times. Her name is Dr. Susan Shumsky, and she is the author of 7 best-selling spiritual books, pioneer in the self-development field, professional speaker, and veteran of over 500 media appearances. Dr. Shumsky has 40 years of experience teaching in the consciousness field. She's an expert in all things metaphysical. She has authored Divine Revelation, now in its 14th year of continuous print with Simon & Schuster, Exploring Auras, Miracle Prayer, published by Random House, Exploring Meditation, How to Hear the Voice of God, Exploring Chakras, and now her new book, Ascension. For 22 years, Dr. Shumsky lived in the Himalayas, the Swiss Alps, and around the world as a student of the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, guru of the Beatles and Deepak Chopra. Since, she was on the Maharishi's personal staff for 7 years. She then studied New Thought and Metaphysics for another 20 years and became a Doctor of Divinity. When I come back from this commercial break, here on the X-Zone in 2 minutes, Dr. Susan Shumsky is my special guest. Her website, www.drsusan.org. That's www.drsusan.org. That's drsusan.org. And we're going to be talking to Dr. Susan about her new book, Ascension. This is the X-Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern. The show is then repeated in its entirety from 2 until 6 a.m. and then a third time in 24 hours from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, right here in the X Zone.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers a certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Dr. Susan Shumsky is my very special guest this hour, Exonation. Her website is www.drsusan.org. That's www.drsusan.org. And Dr. Susan Shumsky, welcome back to the Exxon. Long time no talk, my good friend.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here, Rob.
Susan, you and I were talking before we went on air that you were just coming back from India, and you were at one heck of an event. Over 30 million people over a period of 4 months attended this event.
Right, it's called the Kumbh Mela, and it happens every 12 years, rotating in 4 different places in India. And this time it was in Hardwar, India, which is in the foothills of the Himalayas. And it's a wonderful event of great holy people, the holy people who live in caves and monasteries and so forth. They all come to one place at one time for the auspicious bathing event that takes place at the Ganges. And it's an amazing experience to be able to meet all of these dedicated souls, holy people, and pilgrims that attend this incredible festival.
Now, Susan, it seems that each and every day, as we get closer to what a lot of people are calling the end of the Mayan calendar, or 2012, or doomsday, or the apocalypse, more and more people are turning back to spirituality. What is your impression of this?
Well, it's true that when people are in fear, or when they have just lost their jobs because of the downturn of the economy and they don't know where to turn, or they have unfortunate experiences taking place that they didn't expect, then naturally they're going to begin to turn within. They're going to begin to seek something greater than themselves. And so often people will turn to their religion, or they will return to spirituality. They will come to a standing. They will awaken their awareness to higher levels of consciousness.
You've got a brand new book out called Ascension. What is your new book about, Susan?
Well, ascension is actually the experience, according to my definition. Ascension is physical immortality. It's the attainment that human beings can achieve when they have finished their road of evolution, so to speak, and they have decided that they will transform their physical form into what we call a light body, into finer material. So what ascension means is transforming the physical body into its subtler elements, and then disappearing in a flash of light, and then being able to appear and disappear at will, having complete mastery over all the laws of nature, over all the laws of the universe. And the most familiar ascension that everyone knows about is from the Bible, and that is Jesus, because he made his ascension, and it's described in the Bible. And there are other ascended masters from the Bible, and in fact ascended masters from all over the world. And my book is really, most of my book is stories about these amazing beings who have attained this state of ascension. And then part of the book is about how an individual might aspire to that themselves, how they could attain that. And also the book is about different processes that people have used throughout the ages to achieve the state of immortality.
Wow. Now, you and I have talked about avatars in the past, and I think the word avatar has come forward again because of the movie Avatar. But in reality, what is an avatar?
That's a great question, because James Cameron was asked, why did he make these big blue people? And he said, because I wanted them to look like Hindu gods. The fact is that an avatar is a Sanskrit word, and it means God descending into physical form, into physical flesh. And in India, they talk about these avatars, these gods that come to Earth when the Earth needs divine intervention, when the planet is in trouble. Then an avatar will come to help humanity into its next stage of evolution. Some of the most well-known avatars would be Lord Krishna and Lord Buddha and Lord Rama.
Well, would Jesus Christ in Christianity be an avatar?
Well, certainly that would completely fit the definition of avatar, yes. Christians would define him as a descension, that is God appearing in physical form.
And when we look into Greek mythology with the different gods of the pantheon, would they also be classified as avatars?
Well, that's an interesting question, because if they did appear as human beings, yes. But if they were just in their deified form, living in a celestial place called Olympus,
right,
then no. But if they actually took on physical bodies, then they would be avatars. Because an avatar, by definition, is a god being who takes on a physical form, who appears as a human being.
I was wondering if you could share with us how George Washington and the Founding Fathers were visited by ascended masters.
Well, that's really interesting, because there's one ascended master, his name is Saint Germain, and he was very well known in the 1700s. He was courted by all the famous rulers of Europe. He was very well known in the courts. He had incredible, amazing abilities. He was an alchemist. He could turn base metal into gold. He could manufacture diamonds. In fact, he wore diamonds all over his body, on his shoe buckles, on his belt buckles, and he was very decorated with diamonds everywhere. And he was very mysterious character. No one really knew about his origin, although he was believed to be the son of the national hero of Hungary, whose name was Rákóczi. I doubt that I'm pronouncing that correctly. But he was known to be a very mysterious fellow who could help people to achieve longevity, because he had certain powders, special powders from India, known as the Philosopher's Stone. He would give to some of the women of the court, those who wanted to live long or to have retain their beauty, their youthful beauty. And in fact, he himself was seen in one century as a young man, and then seen in the next century and thought to be the grandson of that man, but in fact, he was the same man. And he said, and then the woman of the court who said to him, "But that's impossible. That would make you over 100 years old." And his reply was, "Yes, I'm a very old man." And in fact, he looked 40, and he continued to look 40. He never changed his appearance. It was sort of like on Lost, Richard Alpert, the character on Lost, who never changes his appearance. He lives century to century. Well, same thing with Saint Germain. So the story about the Founding Fathers is that the Founding Fathers were debating all night long about signing the Declaration of Independence. And of course, they were very frightened about doing this, because what would happen is they were committing treason. So they would be drawn and quartered, or they would certainly be hanged or drawn and quartered, or something horrible would happen to them. And in fact, everyone who did sign the Declaration of Independence ended up either completely devastated, completely broke, or murdered. So it was like a death sentence to sign the Declaration of Independence. So they were all afraid to do it, but they were debating all night long. And then suddenly a stranger appeared in their midst. Now, they were in a locked room. No one could get in or out. There was a guard at the door. And a stranger suddenly stood up and gave a very stirring speech. And the speech was so profound and so meaningful, and brought everyone to such a state of inspiration that they all rushed to sign the document. And then when they turned around to thank the stranger, he had vanished. That stranger was Saint Germain. So that was one instance in which the Founding Fathers were guided by Saint Germain, and it is said that he has been guiding the destiny of America from its inception, and that he is truly the great leader of this country, who has been a force for liberty and freedom and all the ideals upon which this country was founded. And there's another story about George Washington, if we have time for that in this segment. I don't know.
Sure, we've got 2 minutes.
So George Washington, it was a dark night in Valley Forge, and he was about to give up. He was so distraught, and it was during the time of the Revolution when he just didn't think he could go on. and he was about to quit. And he was in his office, and he had told everyone that he would not be disturbed. Suddenly, a young woman appeared right there in his office. And it was like, how did you get in here? I said I didn't want to be disturbed. And she said, watch and learn. And she gave him a vision. She gave him a vision of 3 battles that would ensue in this country. And the first battle was the war that he had been fighting, and that the country would be victorious. And the second battle was the country being divided in half, and the bloody battle that would ensue, and that was a vision of the Civil War. And the third battle was all the countries of the world banding against the United States, and the bloody battle of people from Asia, from the Middle East, from everywhere, and the great battle that would ensue, and again, we were victorious.
All right,
this incredible vision.
Susan, you and I have to take our news break. Please stand by. Dr. Susan Shumsky is our special guest. Explanation, her new book, Ascension. Her website, www.drsusan.org. That's www.drsusan.org. I'll be back on the other side of this break with the news as we continue right here in the X Zone.
It was a terrifying experience.
I thought we was going to go to jail for murder.
That day, we were a little behind, so we worked until it was starting to get dark.
We loaded up the equipment and hadn't driven very far when we caught glimmers of this glow coming through the trees. I urged Mike to hurry up and get up there.
Travis had the door open before we even stopped. As he got closer, I heard the sound.
One of the guys said, "You feel that?"
I really panicked then.
I told him, "Get the hell out of here."
It didn't come directly to me, it came to a deputy sheriff.
3 of us volunteered right away to tell him what had happened.
Sheriff Gillespie definitely didn't believe it.
He says that we better be certain because we get in a lot of trouble.
When we went to search the next day, they split us up, and the whole time the deputies asked me, if you just tell us where the body is, we can all go home and get this over with.
We're talking about 100 people combing through the wooded area. Nothing turns up.
All week long, I've been hearing they're going to set it up to make you guys look guilty.
We're a rough-looking bunch then. Some of us have been in trouble with the law before.
And y'all ain't never going to come out of that jailhouse.
We couldn't get out.
I tried to sneak out the back door the day of the polygraph test. I was scared to death.
On top of that, you have media.
I literally would be on 2 telephones at the same time.
We've even got some coops in here now that's coming in and out to see the freak show, as they call it.
Everyone descends.
I just wasn't going to stand there and listen to it anymore.
Grant, he says, "This is Travis. I'm back. I need help."
When I did hear that he had been returned, it was almost as unbelievable as the original thing.
I just looked at my mom and says, "I told you we didn't kill him."
Travis Walton reappeared after several days with a bizarre story about a ride in an unidentified flying object.
People were desperate to explain it away.
Why are you sticking up with Travis for all this time? You know this really didn't happen.
What happened to Travis after we took off in that truck, I can't tell you.
I hated Travis for a long time after this. My whole world just tore up.
But I believe every word Travis said about it. He's never lied to me about nothing.
It's a net negative. We lost our jobs in the immediate aftermath.
And now you're not able to talk about it with anyone because you know that they're going to laugh at you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
But if you don't come out and tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you.
There's a degree of responsibility. But certainly I have to accept the bad. If I can direct what's happened in a way that I can make something good happen in the world, I'm looking for it.
Order your copy of Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton, today at www.traviswaltonthemovie.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Dr. Susan Shumsky is our special guest. She has a brand new book out, Explanation, called Ascension. Her website is www.drsusan.org. That's www.drsusan.org. Susan, before we went to the commercial break, did you say that there are these avatars who are hundreds of years old and yet only look 40?
Yes. Actually, they're ascended masters. For example, Saint Germain, who lived. We don't know. He's probably still alive, but certainly he was known and had appeared and was seen by many people, by many famous people, in fact, during the 1700s. People of the court, and he always appeared the same age. He appeared to be about, somewhere between 30 and 40 years old. So yes, in fact, he retained his usefulness.
Now, you shared with us a story about how you believe it was Saint Germain who appeared and gave a speech during the just prior to the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and how an avatar just appeared in George Washington's tent at a very, very trying time in his life. Would this account for some of the mysteries of people appearing and disappearing in our present time? For example, people that disappear in a flash of light. Could this be looked at as the action of an avatar?
It could very well be somebody that is an ascended master or even an angelic being that has come to give somebody a message, what we call a visitation from an ascended being or from an angel, angelic being, or another type of divine being. So yes, in fact, they can appear, they can't disappear. In the case of George Washington, it was a beautiful female that appeared in his private office in the winter of 1777, which is the darkest period of the Revolution at Valley Forge, and gave him a vision of the 3 great battles in the future. And as a result of that visitation, he gained courage to move forward and to go ahead and lead the rest of the revolution. And that mysterious female had said to him that 3 great perils will come to the Republic, and that the most fearful is the third. And that one has not yet happened, by the way.
So
the first 2 were the Revolution, and the second one was the Civil War.
So the Fountain of Youth is actually fact, not fiction?
Well, the Fountain of Youth, whether it's a fountain, whether it's a powder, whether it's the Kaya Kalpa herbs and the Soma herb or whatever it is that's talked about in India or in China, the herbs in China. In fact, that would be called the Fountain of Youth. And there are incidences, there are stories, there is history about people who have taken certain substances that have helped them to either retain their youth or to go back to their youth. There is a process in India called Kaya Kalpa, which is a rejuvenation process, where a person would go into a dark room for a couple of months, do specific secret practices. They would be given certain herbs, certain substances, and during that period of time, the people would, this is known, very, very well known in India, by the way. It's known in the Ayurvedic tradition, which is the folk medicine of India. And the person would rejuvenate during that period of time. In fact, their hair, if they had gray hair, the hair would start turning to its, black color or whatever color it was before. Their skin, the wrinkles would go away and they would rejuvenate. And as a matter of fact, this secret practice is still being done in India. Kaya Kalpa.
Just going back to the life of Christ and him being an avatar, the way that he disappeared out of his tomb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, Rob. See, the thing is, this flash of light thing, and we have the Shroud of Turin,
yes,
which is evidence that, in fact, there was a photographic impression made on this shroud. And there's a well-known tradition in the Buddhist tradition, the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. There are tens of thousands of people that have attained what they call the rainbow body. And what happens is the master will go into a little hut or a tent or something quite just days before they're ready to die.
Mm-hmm.
And they will begin to transform their physical body, break down the physical body into its finer elements. And then what happens is onlookers will see a rainbow. That's why it's called the rainbow body. They'll see a rainbow above this area or around this area where the person had gone into this enclosed area. And that means that they have disappeared in a flash of light. And then when they go into the hut, all that's left is fingernails and hair. That's all that's left. And the Buddhist tradition claims that tens of thousands of people have attained what's called the rainbow body.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a pretty well-known thing in the East. It's just not very well known in the West.
According to Red Susan, corpses will actually remain fresh and sweet-smelling for up to 1,800 years.
Well, in fact, the tradition, the Christian tradition, and the Eastern Orthodox tradition, this is very well known in that tradition, where the corpses will remain what's called incorruptible corpses. And some of them will remain sweet-smelling. Some of them will even flow with curative substances. For example, probably the most well-known of those is St. Nicholas, which his remains continued to flow with this substance that they would then bottle and, give to the pilgrims, because it had properties, curative, healing properties. And, it's very unusual. I mean, why would a corpse just suddenly be sweet-smelling? And why would it remain fresh? And why would it not rot? And why would it flow with this substance? And science has no answer for that.
Can you give us...
So the only thing that we could... Yeah.
No, go ahead, dear. I'm sorry.
The only thing that we could say is it has to be some kind of supernormal or supernatural occurrence. And it must be that there is some grace, some divine energy around that corpse that's causing it to remain fresh.
Tell me, have people ever reported real encounters with other people who have lived hundreds or even thousands of years old?
Well, as a matter of fact, there are instances of people having visitations from divine beings. And, of course, we have evidence of that in the Bible. We hear about these visitations, starting with Abraham, where man appeared near his tent and said to him that his wife was going to bear a child when it was impossible for her to do that because she was too old. And then eventually, of course, she did bear a child. And there are so many of these visitations that take place in the Bible. We read about them. And we can read about them in other scriptures and other stories. And we can hear about people who have had encounters. And as a matter of fact, many of your listeners have had encounters with ascended masters, and they don't even know it. Many people have the experience of somebody just coming up to them out of the blue and giving them a message that has a great meaning to them. And then suddenly their life will change. Or perhaps they're in need. Maybe they're in trouble or they're stranded somewhere. And just out of the blue, someone will come and help them and save their life even. And I think that many of your listeners have had such experiences and could tell us about these experiences of encounters with angelic beings or with ascended beings.
So tell me, is there a difference between, in this case, an ascended being or an angel or an avatar?
Yes, those are all different things. Okay, so an ascended master is a human being who has transformed his or her body into this lighter material, into the substance of light and sound.
Okay.
Which is as a matter of fact, physics tells us that all of this universe is made, it consists of, in fact, they believe, these vibrations that they call strings and superstrings. From these vibrations comes light. And then comes the elements of nature. But in fact, this physical body is not physical. There's nothing, in fact, in the universe that has physical substance. It's all really made of the finer materials. And even if you think that everything's made of atoms, there's all this empty space between the atoms. So in fact, even our physical body is made of just about nothing. And so if we realize what this physical body is really made of, the body can be broken down into its finer substance, into its finer material. And if we can have mastery over the laws of nature, then we can manufacture a body or appear anywhere or disappear, and we can appear in any form. That would be what we call an ascended master. An avatar is God incarnating in human form and human flesh. In India, there are 10 known avatars of the Lord Vishnu. Those are the most famous avatars that are known. One of those is Lord Krishna, one of them is Lord Rama, One of them is Lord Buddha. And the other ones, probably if I said their names, no one, your listeners wouldn't have ever heard of them. But there are 10 known avatars of Lord Vishnu in India, very well-known avatars. And avatar meaning God incarnating into human form. It's like God comes down on the earth when human beings need divine intervention. Now, an angel is another type of being. An angel is like a messenger of God. An angel is a being that has evolved to that level where they are helpers. They're helping human beings, helping them with their problems or protecting them and things like that. But they are not ascended masters. Ascended master is someone who's actually consciously attained the state of this incredible mastery, whereby they can appear and disappear anytime at will. An angel does not have that kind of will. They don't have that kind of mastery. They're like messengers. They have a job to do, and they fulfill that job. They're like the go-to guys for God.
How can people communicate directly with their ascended masters?
Right. Now that's a really good question. And the entire principle of everything that I teach is one principle, and that is ask and it shall be given unto you. So it's a matter of asking for it. And meditation is the key. So to go into a very deep state of meditation, actually, really, all you have to do is you just sit down in a chair, you close your eyes, you take a few deep breaths, you get quiet and still and centered and balanced within yourself. And then you simply ask. You ask for a divine being to come to you. And I suggest you call upon the name of that divine being, because that will help. So you call upon the name and you ask that divine being to come. And then you start to ask a question. You ask questions, and then you begin to receive the answers. And the answers will come to you in one of three ways, either through seeing a vision, hearing an inner voice, or getting an inner feeling. And these are all done in meditation. So I would recommend that meditation is key to all of this.
When did you first receive, or when did you first communicate with your ascended masters?
Well, you know what, Rob? I started my spiritual quest in 1966, and I began meditation in 1967. So I've been practicing meditation since then. I spent 22 years in an ashram with this spiritual master from India who's quite well known. He's the founder of Transcendental Meditation. And during that time, I learned how to meditate. I had very profound, deep experiences of meditation. But never once did I hear an inner voice or receive a message from a divine being or anything like that, because I didn't know that all you have to do is ask. I just didn't know. But then later, in about 1986, I actually learned how to listen to this divine voice within. I actually learned how to do it. I was taught. And I learned how to communicate with these divine beings through meditation.
All right,
and
Susan,
key, as I said before,
Susan, stand by. You and I have to take our commercial break. We'll be back on the other side as we do our wrap-up for tonight of Monday, March the 29th in the year 2010. My name's Rob McConnell. Dr. Susan Shumsky is my guest, www.drsusan.org. She's got a brand new book out entitled Ascension. We'll be back on the other side doing our final wrap-up as the X-Zone continues, live from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money in abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. And welcome back, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking all our guests tonight: Jerry Hosky in hour number 1, hour number 2, Jay Rankins, hour number 3, Melissa Bassler, and my special guest this hour, my good friend Dr. Susan Shumsky, who has got a brand new book out entitled Ascension. Susan's website is www.drsusan.org. That's www.drsusan.org. Susan, we're coming close to the end of the Mayan calendar, 2012. A lot of people are talking about doom, gloom, the end of the world, the apocalypse, the book, the fulfilling of the book of Revelations. What is your spiritual take on what is going to happen December the 21st, 2012?
Well, I think everybody's going to wake up, and it'll be December 21st, 2012. That's about it.
Now, in all your spiritual learnings, all the time that you've spent with the Maharishi, you mean this great master didn't talk about the end of the world on December the 12th, 2012?
No.
I always said he was a very smart man.
That particular date does not coincide with any of the important dates in the ancient calendar of India.
Mm-hmm.
Although there is a date that does correspond, which was the death of Lord Krishna around 3000 BC, that does correspond with an important date in the Mayan calendar. But this particular date of December 21st, 2012, it doesn't correspond to any special date that I'm aware of. And I just don't think anything's going to happen. And it's not really, the calendar is there. There are cycles that are there. And supposedly there is some kind of cosmic event that's to take place during that time. There's supposed to be some kind of alignment with the center of the galaxy.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
A planetary alignment.
Yeah.
So there might be a spiritual pulse. There might be an experience of greater spiritual awakening amongst people, but I think that ordinary people would have absolutely zero awareness of that, and they wouldn't feel a thing.
Susan, as always, great having you with us here in the X Zone. Time goes by so fast. I'd love to have you back with us in the near future.
That'd be great.
Susan, take care of yourself. Thank you for all the great work that you do. Once again, X Zone Nation, Susan Shumsky, Dr. Susan Shumsky has been my guest this hour. Her website is www.drsusan.org. That's www.drsusan.org. Well, that's it. Another 4 hours here in the X Zone. I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking my production staff here at the Elmar McConnell Media Company Studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My senior producer, my lovely wife, the lovely Laura Rogers. And thank you, each and every one of you out there in the X Zone Nation, no matter where you are listening to us, at home, at work, at play, in your boat, at a military base, wherever. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your day or night. If you have a child at home, give them a hug, give them a kiss, because children are the leaders of tomorrow. And always remember to take care of each other. I'll be back tomorrow night, and until that time, always remember, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.